So with Windows 10 coming out right around the corner, Linux as an operating system, as a desktop computing operating system, has never had a bigger challenge. Obviously, the majority of computers are about to upgrade to what is going to be a free upgrade for Windows 10. So with the release of Linux Mint 17.2, what improvements and changes could possibly woo people over to the Linux desktop, and how has the landscape changed in that time? Well, here are my first impressions for Linux Mint 17.2. This is IG here again today. We're going to be taking a look at both the Mate and Cinnamon releases of Linux Mint 17.2. Okay, so in case you weren't aware, Linux Mint is a distribution that is based off Ubuntu, which is the most popular Linux distribution out there. Linux Mint seeks to create a user-friendly kind of desktop operating system that the average Joe, like your mum or your grandma, could pick up and use. It breathes life into older computers because of the fact it does use significantly less resources than what more modern operating systems do, but it still gives you all the features that somebody would want in a standard desktop computer. If your grandma likes using XP, chances are she's going to like using Linux Mint as well. But here are some other reasons that you might be interested. So first of all, with Linux Mint 17.2, there's been a few upgrades. What that means for you is that, first of all, if you've bought a laptop in the last couple of years, it has UEFI as the bootloader. That means that it kind of makes it a little bit harder, but it's also a bit prettier to boot into an operating system than what it used to be back in legacy BIOS days. With UEFI, obviously, it's a little bit more restrictive when it comes to sideloading other operating systems either next to or in place of Windows. So with Linux Mint 17.2, you get improved UEFI support, so it's easy to dual boot and or replace a Windows installation on a more recent laptop. Linux Mint also uses a really stable code base, and this is really important to understand, as generally speaking, Linux distributions change a lot, whereas Linux Mint has been proving year after year after year that they are dedicated to providing a really user-friendly and stable desktop operating system for the average user, not one that's going to be changing things up every 6 months. So having said that, in line with it, think of Linux Mint 17.2 as kind of like Linux Mint 17 Service Pack 2. They add features, they add improvements, but at the end of the day, you're still running a nice stable code base that they're going to keep developing right up until 2016. They also have better graphics switching now. So if you have a laptop with hybrid graphics, you're going to find that it's going to be a lot easier to switch those graphics on and off with just a simple login and log out. How does this make a difference to you? Steam gaming. That's really all I need to say. There are more and more games coming out on Steam that are supported on Linux, so make sure if you've got a laptop with switchable graphics, check out Linux Mint because it's got a great toggle to easily turn those switchable graphics on and off to help save you battery power. Finally, they've made some improvements to PPA management. PPAs are, think of them like software libraries that you can add to kind of boost up the amount of software that you've got in your software store and in your app store. So the Linux Mint software community has obviously been pretty well maintained over these last few releases, and they're making it easier to add third-party software stores in some ways. So now you can manage and see all of the software that you have available in each of those third-party repositories, and it's a nice improvement for those of us who use a lot of different software on their Linux Mint desktop. They've also updated a few settings panels, but that's not really that important. Basically, it's easier to change your login screen and also your language settings now. Now, when it comes to this Cinnamon 2.6 desktop, we've got a lot of things that have changed and a lot of things that have been improved. When I say changed, I mean tweaked for the better, not completely overhauled. They've plugged a lot of memory leaks and made the code base and the overall desktop operating system a lot thinner and lighter. That means you can breathe life into old machines that might be struggling a bit with Windows 7, Windows 8, and even Windows 10. You can use something like Cinnamon and it still gives you a nice modern environment that you can customize however you want. Think of it like an Android phone, and you can pretty much change it to look however you like. By default, looks pretty much like Windows 7 does, but Cinnamon 2.6 means that it's going to be nice and light and fast. They've also added some great multi-monitor support. So if you've got multiple desktops or multiple screens in your workspace, you'll be able to get some really useful settings to be able to tailor that to what you're looking for. They also have support for screensavers now, for whoever still uses screensavers. Okay, and now with the Mate desktop, you have Mate 1.10, and that is a desktop release that is slightly more traditional. Think of it like Windows XP. and it gives users a nice, flat, clean, simple interface. This is probably the one that you'd hand to your mum or your grandma who's used to something like Windows XP. It's nice and flat, it's nice and simple, but they have made a lot of improvements, again, patching a lot of things that bloated it out, that made it feel heavy. So it's a lot slimmer on memory usage now. They've plugged a lot of leaks there. They also have a plugin manager now for the file explorer. So think of this like being able to add additional functionality to Windows Explorer so that you can automate certain actions. Whether it's zipping up an archive, whether it's emailing something to someone, you can plug in all of these things now to the file explorer so you don't have to open up an external program to manage those different things. And also they have a great new sound mixer that means that whenever you plug audio in, whether it's a microphone or a TV to output audio to, it'll be a lot easier to sort those things out. So overall, Linux Mint 17.2 makes some fantastic changes, and in the upcoming videos I'm going to be having a look at each of these desktops in detail, how they vary and which one that is better for you. So if you're interested in trying out a Linux desktop, now is the time to do it. Linux Mint 17.2 has definitely got your back. Let me know what you think about this release in the comments section below, and of course you're going to find plenty of answers to questions with the people already commenting down there, but let me know what you guys think. You can follow me on Facebook, Twitter and Google Plus as per usual. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Peace out.